Hey everyone, and welcome back. This is one of a series of videos looking at key issues and concepts in American politics. In this video, we're going to explore how power is divided between the states and the national government under the American system of federalism. In another video, we examine the division of power between the national and state governments, observing that some of the powers are expressly granted to the federal government, some are shared between the state government and the federal government, and some are reserved exclusively to the states. In this video, we'll consider the constitutional provisions that establish this division in more detail. Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution outlines the broad powers explicitly granted to the federal government. Because of this, it's sometimes referred to as the Enumerated Powers or the Expressed Powers Clause. These powers include the ability to levy taxes, regulate commerce, coin money, establish post offices, declare war, and maintain a military. The enumerated powers were designed to provide the central government with sufficient authority to address national issues while maintaining a balance of power with the states. The same article also includes the provision that grants Congress the express power to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department or officer thereof. This is often referred to as the elastic clause or the implied powers clause because it grants the government powers not specifically enumerated but necessary to govern. Arguably the most significant source of federal power today is the Commerce Clause. Found in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 of the U.S. Constitution, the Commerce Clause grants the Congress the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with Indian tribes. The Commerce Clause is one of the most important and far-reaching powers granted to Congress in the Constitution, as it gives Congress the power to regulate a wide range of economic activity, including the production, distribution, and sale of goods and services. This clause has been used to support a broad range of federal regulations, from labor laws to environmental regulations to consumer protections. Over time, the interpretation of the Commerce Clause has expanded to cover not just interstate commerce, but also activities that have substantial effects on interstate commerce, even if they do not involve crossing state lines. This has led to some controversy and criticism, as some argue that the Commerce Clause has been used to expand the powers of the federal government beyond what the founders originally intended, a debate we examine in more detail in another video. Article 4, Clause 2 of the Constitution provides that this Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. This is often referred to as the Supremacy Clause. It's intended to ensure that federal law takes precedence over conflicting state laws, emphasizing the authority of the federal government. The 10th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution attempts to balance the power of the federal government against those of the states. It provides that the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. This is often referred to as the Reserved Powers Clause because it provides that the national government only has those powers explicitly granted to it by the Constitution, and that any powers not granted to the federal government are the purview of the states. This means that states have significant power to govern themselves and to make their own laws as long as those laws do not conflict with the Constitution or with federal law. The 10th Amendment ensures the federal government does not become too powerful and that the states have a degree of autonomy to address the needs of their citizens. The 10th Amendment has been used by many courts to limit the power of the federal government and to protect the rights of states. It's also been used to protect individual rights and limit the power both of the federal and state governments. The Full Faith and Credit Clause is a provision of the U.S. Constitution that requires each state to honor the laws, public records, and court decisions of the other states. It's found in Article 4, Section 1 of the Constitution, and states that full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. The purpose of the Full Faith and Credit Clause is to promote unity and smooth transactions between the states by ensuring that legal judgments and documents issued in one state are recognized and enforced in all other states. This means that if a legal judgment is made in one state, it will be recognized and enforced in another state, even if the laws of that state differ. The Full Faith and Credit Clause has been applied in many different contexts, such as marriage and divorce laws, child custody disputes, and property rights. For example, if a couple is married in one state, that marriage is recognized as valid in all other states, even if the laws regarding marriage are different. Similarly, if a person is granted a driver's license in one state, that license is recognized as valid in all other states. The full faith and credit clause has been the subject of some controversy and interpretation over the years, particularly in cases where there are conflicts between laws of different states. We explore some of these issues in another video. Article 6, Section 2 of the Constitution is the counterpart to the full faith and credit clause. It provides that the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. This prevents states from discriminating against citizens of other states by denying them certain fundamental rights and privileges. It provides for the free movement of people and goods across state lines by ensuring that the citizens of one state are not treated unfairly or differently from the citizens of another state. This clause applies to a wide range of fundamental rights and privileges, such as the right to travel, the right to engage in commerce, the right to enter into contracts, and the right to receive equal protection under the law. While the Privileges and Immunities Clause is an important protection for the rights of citizens, it's not an absolute guarantee of equal treatment. The Supreme Court has recognized that states may sometimes have legitimate reasons for treating non-residents differently, such as when it comes to the regulation of natural resources or the provision of public benefits. As with the issues arising from the Full Faith and Credit Clause, we'll explore some of the issues arising from the Privileges and Immunity Clause in another video. And although not part of the original Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the 11th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution is also important to understand American federalism. Ratified in 1795, the 11th Amendment provides that the judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in law or equity commenced or persecuted against one of the United States by the citizens of another state or by the citizens or subjects of any foreign state. This is more commonly referred to as the doctrine of sovereign immunity. The 11th Amendment has been interpreted by the Supreme Court to mean that states cannot be sued by individuals in federal court without their consent, except in certain limited circumstances. This means that individuals cannot generally sue states for damages or legal remedies in a federal court. The concept of sovereign immunity is based on the idea that the government needs to be protected from the burden of excess litigation and that it should be immune to lawsuits that might interfere with the ability to perform its functions. However, sovereign immunity can also limit the ability of individuals to seek redress for grievances against the government, which has led to some criticism of the doctrine. Finally, the system of federalism outlined in the Constitution also imposes a number of limitations on the power of both the state and the national governments. For example, Congress cannot suspend the right to a writ of habeas corpus, that is, the right of a person to appear before a judge after being arrested and to challenge the legality of their detention. This right is enshrined in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. Congress is also not permitted to pass bills of attainder, or laws that single out an individual or group for punishment without trial. The Constitution explicitly prohibits the federal government and the states from passing bills of attainder in Article 1, Section 9, Clause 3. Nor may Congress pass ex post facto laws, or laws that retroactively criminalize conduct that was legal when it occurred, or increases the punishment for conduct that was legal when it occurred. The U.S. Constitution explicitly prohibits the federal government and the states from passing ex post facto laws in Article 1, Section 9, Clause 3. And finally, the Constitution also limits the power of Congress to address the question of slavery, including prohibiting the government from preventing the importation of enslaved persons for 20 years and requiring free states to return escaped slaves under the Fugitive Slave Clause, Article 4, Section 2. But that's it for now. Please leave any questions you have in the comments section below, and thanks for watching.